Hey y'all, thanks for joining us for another episode about archaeology and restoration at Somerset Place. Today, we're focusing on the 2001 restoration of the kitchen laundry in the owner's compound. Previously, the Works Projects Administration in Pettigrew State Park carried out a significant historical restoration of the kitchen laundry to make it a residence for Pettigrew's park manager and his family. One of the key results of this 1941 to 1942 project was the addition of plaster to the interior walls using metal lathing. With advancements in architectural research and scientific analyses over the years, North Carolina historic sites felt the kitchen laundry could be more accurately interpreted if re-examined. In 1998, the North Carolina legislature appropriated funding to restore the building. And in March of that year, Somerset hired Cynthia Langlich as the project architect to carry out the restoration. In order to have the kitchen laundry look as it did when Josiah Collins III and his family lived at Somerset, Langlich needed to first have research done. On May 6, 1998, Terry M. Harper from the archaeology branch of historic sites conducted archaeological testing around the kitchen laundry to find out more about how the building evolved. Harper excavated a test unit, quote, next to the center pier footing on the west side of the kitchen under the window, and probed, quote, along the west and south side of the kitchen foundation. Harper observed that the building's foundation below ground was modern and concluded that it was probably constructed during the 1941 to 1942 restoration to stabilize the building. Her testing also recovered no significant archaeological evidence from the 19th century. Next, Langlich hired M. Ruth Little and Russell Steele to conduct separate architectural examinations of the kitchen laundry. Steele, an experienced restoration carpenter who previously worked at Colonial Williamsburg, examined the building on May 18th and 20th. To aid in his and Ruth's investigation, he removed the 1941 to 1942 plasterwork and made detailed diagrams identifying whether structural pieces in the building were original or replaced. He submitted a report of his findings on March 26, 1999. The report provided his conclusions on three aspects of the kitchen laundry: the wall above the fireplace and the connected partition wall between the kitchen and laundry rooms, the stairs to the loft, and whether the walls were originally plastered. M. Ruth Little, an experienced historic preservation consultant, examined the building on April 22nd and June 17, 1998, and submitted a report of her findings on September 12th. Her report, which included observations supported by professionals who visited the site from the Department of Archives and History and the State Historic Preservation Office, provided a chronology of the kitchen laundry that consisted of three phases: the 1830s construction, an 1850s remodeling, and the 1941 to 1942 restoration. Beginning in September of 1998, a disagreement arose among the project stakeholders over how to proceed with the restoration. Steele and Little agreed that the architectural evidence suggested there was originally a staircase between the kitchen and laundry sides of the building. Little argued that the walls and ceiling were originally plastered, while Steele thought that only the walls were plastered and only so after the Civil War. Steele also thought that the partition was old but maybe not original. Little thought that a section of wainscoting along part of the east wall of the kitchen was original, and that the rest of the kitchen's walls were originally wainscoted. Steele, on the other hand, thought that wainscoting in a utilitarian room like the kitchen would have been unusual. Somerset site manager Dorothy Redford argued for the removal of the partition and against replastering and wainscoting in the building. Regarding the partition, she explained that, quote, permanently blocking passage between the areas would have required a 20-foot excursion outside to pass a cup of water, or for that matter instructions, from one area to the other. The building could not have been a functional unit. Redford also thought that plastered and wainscoted walls and a boxed staircase signified a luxurious workspace, raising questions about the treatment of enslaved domestic workers that the current research did not answer. Ultimately, the project team agreed to restore the kitchen laundry without the plastered and wainscoted walls, partition, or staircase. The team also agreed that the beehive oven, which was installed in the laundry side of the building in 1941 to 1942, needed to be removed to the kitchen side for historical accuracy. Before the restoration commenced, Somerset had a paint analysis done on various parts of the kitchen laundry. Since the 1940s, the building exterior was painted the same color as the Collins family home, which varied from off-white to cream-colored. In 1999, samples from the kitchen laundry interior, wainscoting, and exterior were sent to Susan L. Buck at Historic Paint and Architectural Services for analysis. Susan concluded that the building's exterior was originally painted a dark blue color, the wainscoting a cream color, and the building's interior samples an early, though not original, cream color. Also in 1999, historic sites archaeologist Linda Carnes McNaughton carried out a second archaeological investigation, this time under the kitchen laundry. A hole was cut in the floorboards next to the kitchen side fireplace so that archaeologists could access the subfloor, where they dug an 8-foot by 2-foot trench. 1,024 historic artifacts were recovered, and, quote, datable historic ceramics provided a mean manufacturing date of 1830.11 for the undisturbed level. By February 3, 2000, Edmund P. Virgili had replaced Cynthia Langlick as the project's architect. Construction work took place in the kitchen laundry from August through September 2001 and primarily involved stabilizing the building. Workers, for instance, repaired and replaced rotten wood, added new framing pieces where the original ones were located, installed new floorboards, and fixed masonry elements. Workers also removed the partition between the kitchen and laundry rooms as part of the new interpretation of the building. For unknown reasons, though possibly because of lack of funding, the beehive oven was not moved to the kitchen side. Lastly, the kitchen laundry exterior was painted a dark blue color to reflect the paint analysis findings. At the same time workers were restoring the kitchen laundry, the adjacent dairy was also undergoing a restoration. You can learn more about this project in our next video. Until then, thanks for watching.